So my friends, in a moment we're going to be turning to page 312 as we begin the Torah service. But before we do so, I just want to say a quick word about the service, the Torah service as it's about to unfold. Past 6 to 8 weeks, part of the Jewish world has been involved in a controversy around whose wall is it? And by this I mean the controversy is who gets to pray at the Western Wall, at the Kotel. And as this controversy has been unfolding, we've had a group of women who have been leading the way, referred to as Women of the Wall, who on most, not all, but most Rosh Chodeshes, and now it's becoming more and more consistent, following several court victories, have demanded their place by the wall to be able to pray. And to be able to pray as a group, wearing talitot, wearing the talis, and to be able to read from the Torah. This has sparked incredible controversy within the Jewish world. And eventually, Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu appointed Natan Sharansky, the head of the Jewish agency, to come up with a solution. He announced his solution, as I said, I think it's been about a month ago. About a month ago, he announced a solution to create a space whereby the liberal streams of Jewish tradition could be able to pray as they wish, where men and women pray together, where women can wear talitot, and even tefillin should they so wish. And it has been received not so well. Not so well. Ongoing controversy, and it will go on for a number of months. But here's the point, though, that I want to pick up on, just riffing off of this particular controversy. What one reads in the newspaper over and over again about this controversy is whenever they say the word the Western Wall or the Kotel, then they'll put a comma or a dash. And does anyone know what follows that comma or dash? Huh? Okay, could be the Wailing Wall. Something else, though. The most holy site in Judaism. Right? When they're talking about it in the LA Times, they're talking about it to a broader audience, or even within the Jewish paper this past week, a number of rabbis wrote a letter in support of creating a solution, and they referred to the Western Wall, the Kotel, dash, comma, the most holy site in Judaism. Now, historically, it is impossible to argue against that. At this point in time in our history, that the place that the Kotel holds is such within our hearts that it is really the holiest site. However, I would like to challenge that assumption this morning. Of course. I'd like to challenge it because I would like to suggest the following, that this place right here where we are sitting, standing, and praying, that this place right here is about to be transformed into a site that is easily as holy as the Kotel. And not only here, but here and everywhere where we take Torah out of an ark, that place becomes the holiest site in Judaism. And I believe there are two compelling reasons why this is the case. I'm going to share one reason now, and then one reason in the traditional darshan, the speaker slot. But don't worry, I've timed it so that combined, it's really just the length of one drash, not two. So the first reason, it's so easy to lose sight of, because we lose sight of that which is common to us and which we do by routine and we no longer pay attention to or understand its origin. The first reason is this. You go back 3,000, 4,000 years. You go back to the culture and the civilization in ancient Mesopotamia, out of which the Torah arises. And what you find there is a very different world, a very different conception of God. In ancient times, and it carries through in a number of religious traditions to this very day, right? When God spoke, to whom did God speak? Did God speak to the people? No. Who did God speak to? Oh, well, in our day and age, Moses, yeah. But I'm saying just ancient times, who are the gods really concerned about? They talked in ancient times to the kings, and they talked to the priests. That's it. They didn't talk to the people. They had no interest in the people. In ancient times, the gods spoke only directly to the leaders of the people themselves to convey their wishes so that the people would do what it is that the gods wanted and what the gods needed. Judaism comes along and says, no, we don't like that. Judaism comes along and says, no. In a totally radical way, we take it for granted, but it was so unbelievable in its time. Judaism comes along and says, hey, no, we are all created b'tselem Elohim. And therefore, God's concern is not just with the king, And not just with the priest, but God's concern is for everybody. Every human being in this world is of intimate concern to the divine. That's what it means when the Torah says we're created B'Tselem Elohim. And to carry it further, if we're all created B'Tselem Elohim, then we all need to have access to what God says. See, in ancient times, the gods conveyed their message to the kings and to the priests, but they didn't share them with everybody. It's not like, oh, God spoke to me, I'm going to get on the internet now and share what God said. Right? Those words were kept by the kings and the priests. And when they were written down, guess who had access to those sacred texts? Only the kings and the priests. Judaism comes along and says, no, if we're all created B'Tselem Elohim, if we're all created in the image of God, and if God's concerned with all of us and wants to speak to all of us, then all of us need to have access to what God says. And that way, all of us can be involved in this process. All of us can partake of God's words. All of us are invited into the conversation. It's not for the elite. It's not for the few. It is for everybody. That seems so obvious to us sitting in America today, where we are so blasé about voting that we don't. We don't even vote. But in ancient times, that kind of accessibility was utterly radical and revolutionary. And that's what happens when we take the Torah out of that ark. We take it out, we parade it around, everyone can see it, everyone can touch it, everyone can now hear it. That, my friends, was unbelievable thousands of years ago. Radical, crazy, revolutionary. We barely notice it. When we take that Torah out, we walk around, and I'm as guilty of this as the next person, and what do? We talk. This is a good time in the service to kind of catch up with our neighborhood. It's natural, we understand that. But today we're going to ask something different. Today when we take the Torah out, we're not going to be parading around. We're going to all stand up here, the clergy, we're going to stand up here, and we're going to sing, and we invite all of you to sing as well. So, no talking to your neighbor. Sorry. You can talk during the Torah service. You can talk when I'm speaking. Just don't talk when we're parading the Torah around. That is all that we ask. And we ask that because we want to see what it's like when we're all just focused on and reminding ourselves that this drama of taking the Torah out is just that. It is a dramatic emphasis on Judaism's core message of what it is to be created B'Tselem Elohim and to all have access to the words of that very God in whose image we're created. That, I would like to suggest, is reason number one for why we are about to transform this space. And as we raise our voices, we make that transition all the more palpable. This is what it is to take a space and make it holy. And this is, as I said, the first reason that I offer as to why it is that anywhere where Torah is being taken out at this time, that space is the holiest place in Judaism. We turn now to page 312 as we continue with the Torah service and Ein Kamocha.